Well, hello, everybody. We are going to do another live commentary, this time talking about the quality of mercy. And before we do that, I am going to start inviting people in, so bear with me. When we get started with this, what we'll do is, again, sync up the episode, which if you're watching on HBO Max, it's actually episode 15, and that's the order we're going with. But if you're watching on your DVDs, it, I believe, is episode 21. So season one's a little interesting in terms of how we have the order set. I think the DVDs are closer to the order that was intended. However, to make things easier here in 2022, we are going to go ahead and use the system that is more widely available to everybody, which would be HBO Max. So, as we record these episodes of our podcast, we are going in that order, and we are just finishing up recording of episode 14, which was by any means necessary. And so now we are working on episode 15. And so that's what we're doing. I am doing a quick invite to folks here, and then we'll get started. So all you need to do is go ahead and get your episode synced up, whether it's episode 21 on DVD or episode 15 on HBO Max, and I will give you a countdown and when we can hit play. Okay, I think we're all set to go here. And let me double check one more thing. Cool. Okay, we're good to go. So if anyone pops in the chat, I'll be talking to you in the chat as well too. And of course, if you're watching this any other time when it's not live, then just put your comments down below, and we'll definitely continue the conversation after this is all said and done. I'm going to do one more mic check here. Yep, I'm sounding as good as I'm going to. So we have it all queued up again on HBO Max episode 15, The Quality of Mercy. And I'm going to hit play in a 3, a 2, and a 1. And Quality of Mercy is an episode that has, oh, and by the way, I should say that this is a spoiler commentary. Oh, there's Lee, the goddess of passion. We will talk about Lee more in a minute. Ambassador. We will get to know this gentleman on the comm a lot more as we go along, as he will be the regent. I use the gif of him saying touch this a lot. It's interesting that Bill Moomy's Lanier is in this episode, and yet there is not interaction with him with the special guest star, June Lockhart. And if you are a fan of the old Lost in Space show, you'll know that Bill and June definitely spent some time together back in the 60s. Whenever Londo decides to mentor you, it's not a good idea. Run away, run quickly. Okay, so we're in the intro here now. And as you can see, we got two major stories going on here. Obviously, the A plot and the B plot, as most TV sci fi shows will do. And with this, our A plot and B plot both have a lot going on that's going to impact the show in the future. And again, I want to be clear, this is a spoiler commentary. So if you are not a fan of spoilers, be sure to run away right now. So, how our podcast works is we have a group of newbies and a group of longtime fans. So, our first section of every podcast we record is a spoiler free conversation of just the episodes. So, we're going to be recording Quality of Mercy here later this week. And then once the newbies have had a chance to give them their first impressions and do all that, we jettison them out the nearest airlock. And then our long-term fans, myself included, talk about how the show interacts with the rest of the series. And we talk spoilers. So if you're a first-time watcher of Babylon 5, for one, you shouldn't be listening to this commentary, but our podcast is good for you because we're going to have a lot of newbies with you. And then if you're a long-term fan, the great thing here is you're experiencing the show for the first time again through the eyes of our newbies. And that's what I've been enjoying so far. So, Quality of Mercy. A lot goes on here that's going to impact days or shows to come. Ivanova's got her hair up. And I just to show you there, June Lockhart is the special guest, which sci-fi fans are going to know her well. This is the first time we see Franklin really outside of Med Bay, aside from, yelling at Sinclair in his office. And it's a good way to see what Franklin is all about, especially after the last time we dealt with him, which was Believers, where he had a huge God complex. And whether you agree with what he did or not, had some problems with the what happened, the result. But here we're getting to see him working down below and doing clinic hours and just trying to help people. This says a lot about Ivanova as well, too. And we know that she's willing to bend the rules. We've seen that already a couple times. But it is nice to see this interaction between these two main co-stars who really don't get much interaction as of this point so far. This is the first time we also see how the judicial system works here on Babylon 5, but will not be the last, of course. And depending on when you're watching this, it may not be the first time that you see the judicial system. As I said, the order is a little different depending on how you watch this. So you may or may not have seen Grail yet, which also deals with the ombudsman. But currently, the way we're watching it, we have not gotten to Grail yet. So this is the first time we're seeing the judiciary system on the station. It's interesting to see how this works too. You get people stuck. The station's pretty far away from anything else. It's in the station's in neutral space, so it's pretty far away from anything. And sometimes people come out here looking for their fortune and get stuck, which happens now. A lot of homeless population across the country are homeless because they try to go to one place or another for a job or help or what have you, and can't afford to get back. We're also getting a lot more core information here. Scanning is not allowed, inadmissible in court. This is actually something JMS, J. Michael Straczynski, said he added to the script while interacting with people on the internet back in '94. He hadn't intended to have more of this inner workings of this system and how Psy-Core interacts with the judiciary system, but there were so many questions he kept getting about Psy-Core that he decided to add it into the script. And this mind wiping idea we will see again as well too. It's interesting that the chief of medical doesn't know all the inner workings of the station, doesn't know exactly where to find an address in Brown sector. But again, we've got a space station that is 5 miles long and 250,000 people. So not anyone's going to be able to find everything. And I like that, how this kind of builds up the size of the station more. And here's June Lockhart, Sci-Fi's mom. Taking Franklin's patience. One of the big questions that comes up in this episode is why didn't June Lockhart and Bill Mumy have a Lost in Space reunion and have a scene together? And JMS flat out said that it didn't fit the narrative, didn't fit the story. So it would just been a scene between Lanier and the doctor here for no other purpose than to have a scene because they worked together before and he wasn't big on that. So we didn't get it. If you're watching, you can go ahead and put your comments in the chat and I will definitely interact with you there as well too. We got some folks watching along with me and you can definitely join in. Franklin tends to jump into things before he knows all the details. That's his character. He immediately assumes that this is a con, which, she's using a machine he doesn't understand. And usually I would agree with him that this idea that usually is tend to be called holistic medicine doesn't work. And I'll be honest, holistic medicine doesn't work. It's called a placebo effect. But we'll get into that conversation when I want to get people really mad at me. But of course, as we know, because we've seen this episode and we've watched the series, that machine does more good and bad than you can imagine at this point. Yeah, this is a conversation to be had, isn't it? We can't sentence you to death because it's cruel and unusual punishment, but we're going to wipe out your personality. Is it not the same thing? He's flat out said it. We're going to erase Mueller and make a new person. So the body will continue, but the mind will be different. How is that not death? Now, I'm not saying whether it's better or worse than the capital punishment. Personally, I'm against capital punishment. I think that it's not the government's or society's role to kill people. Um, so I'm all for sticking somebody in a prison where they have the ability to live out their life and maybe become a better person, but do so in a way that we're all safe from them. But this mind wipe is definitely something different. It's another thing too. Where does the Hippocratic Oath come into this? Dr. Franklin is supposed to be the one to set up the machine that's going to wipe the guy's personality and basically kill him. How does that go with the Hippocratic Oath? Again, Mr. Lanier, when Londo says that you're going to go ahead and learn from him, run away, run very, very fast. The fun thing about Lanier and Bill Mooney, well, there's a lot of fun things. I like the character a lot, but Bill Mooney is playing a young guy here, somebody who's fresh out of on the run out in space for the first time. But the funny thing is, he's actually in his 40s at this point, and now he's in his 70s and still really active. But he's actually older than Mira Furlong. So when you see him playing the young attaché to Delenn, it's interesting because, well, he's not exactly a young actor. He does such a great job playing naive, especially when there's an alien woman stripping in front of him. Londo using Lanier's credits because Londo's never going to take a free, never going to pass up a free lunch or a free drink. Even a small quantity of alcohol causes psychotic impulses. Londo's going to go ahead and take that drink from him. Give that man a Shirley Temple. So again, at this point, Franklin is just assuming that her mother, the doctor, is a quack because he has to be right. And Dr. Laura Rosen is the name. I just had to look at it. But he just assumes that he's right and no one else can be. So when he sees Dr. Rosen using this device and giving out free healthcare or healthcare via donation, he just assumes that it's incorrect. And this is interesting for Franklin too, because we know already, and we're going to know more as we go down the line, that Franklin definitely dabbles in alien tech. So the fact that he immediately throws it out the window and says this can't be real is interesting. Even her daughter doesn't know if it's real or not. Yeah. See, this is very unscientific of Franklin. She even asks, how do you know it doesn't work? Have you even tested it? No. He just assumes. Mm. It's amazing what folks will do to protect their parents, especially in the twilight of their lives, and trying to give them that little bit of hope and that little bit of ability to make a difference while they still can, and defending that. This also tells us a little bit that Mimbari live much longer than humans. As Lanier says, his 11th. I'm going to assume that's his 55th year at the temple. I've been there as well. Hanging out at the bar with somebody who decides that they want to tell you their life story. Just kill me. Oh, probability. He's speaking Londo's language now. Polka. The ultimate means to international understand or intergalactic understanding or interspecies, whatever he said. Poker. So again, I'm going to throw out a massive spoiler here, but you shouldn't be watching if it's not a spoiler. Talia here is dealing with a lot, and the idea that she's going to be the one to remove the personality from this criminal. And as she looks in that mirror, it makes you wonder what Control's thinking at that very moment. Because as we know, she has two personalities inside of her right now: the Talia that we see throughout season 1 and season 2, and Control, the personality that's hidden beneath, that is there to spy. How very clinical. Please sit. This will only take a minute as we carry out the end of your life as you know it. Of course, right now she's just scanning to get any last little information from him, but he knows where this leads, and so does she. This is the second time we've seen Talia going through somebody's mind. Of course, the last time it was Kosh copying her mind, which she didn't know that at the time. And we don't know that yet based on the timeline of the show. But the idea there when Kosh was working with her and the vicar was to make a copy of her personality. So when control does surface and wipes out her personality, much like she's going to wipe out this guy's personality, it would have been another copy. The mind of a serial killer. God, that's just dark. I have to continue to add voices to my choir so that there's enough to sing me into heaven when I die. And that little grin he gives. I commented on how some of the co-star or guest stars on season one are kind of hit or miss, but this guy playing Mueller, he's pretty darn good. He plays sick and psychotic really well. Stay for the symphony. I'll save a place for you. Oh, Franklin, you did a little bit of research. Oh, Solando playing poker. I'm looking forward to the newbies' reaction to this one because we've been talking about how Londo is one of their favorite characters, and now we're about to find out that Londo is not exactly um, as human as he looks. And it's just another one of those where I love the little hints that are sprinkled throughout the show that pay off down the road. So, and back in Parliament of Dreams, at the beginning of the season, when Londo was showing off Minbari culture and Minbari religious activities, he showed us Li, the goddess of passion. And if you look at the statue of Li, which also shows up in Londo's quarters here at the beginning of this episode, Li has 6 appendages, 3 out of each side. And yes, I am talking about tentacle appendages on a audio commentary. My life is now complete. Oh, Franklin's actually realizing that stuff is real sometimes. Here's where we get the theme of the episode: types of capital punishment. We've already talked about spacing. We've talked about death of personality. We've talked about life in prison. Now imagine a device that is designed to heal others while taking away your life. Doesn't have to be used at full power. And we will see this again, obviously. We're going to see it a couple times. Franklin and Sheridan will use it. And of course, Marcus will use it. I've noticed when we've started this conversation about Babylon 5 with folks that Marcus is kind of a divisive character, which I'm interested because Marcus was always one of my favorite characters. I like the chivalrous knight, the ranger. The ranger. Mike from Gray Sector Podcast is not a fan of Marcus, but I am. So whenever I see this device and rewatches, I know how it's going to end. and it hurts. Just when Marcus gets close to his unrequited love of Ivanova, he ends up having to save her life by giving his own. Tragedy. But we're well away from Marcus at this point. My newbies get a lot more to watch before we get to him. As much as I give Franklin trouble for being closed minded, as soon as he does get the evidence that he needs, he's all for it and he's working with her. But he always seems to be the guy who assumes he's right. The God complex. And of course, that's going to come back to bite him in the butt down the road. Hey, your mother's now my patient. Want to go have a date? Yeah, it's a little awkward. As the season continues and as the show continues, we start being able to put a little bit more money to stock CGI. We get to see a little bit more of the station. This is a good view of the main garden area of the station. And of course, we're going to see a lot more of it throughout the role of the show. But it's nice that they're being able to kind of expand the size of the station as we go. And again, the cost of this show was minuscule compared to other shows at the time. JMS pointed out that Deep Space Nine, another one of my favorite shows, that was filmed at the same time, had about $2 million an episode. Currently in season 1 of B5, they had roughly $600,000 an episode for everything. Even at the high point, they would get up to $825,000 an episode. So it's amazing what they were able to do with this show. And of course, one of the anecdotes is that this was all filmed in a hot tub factory. Back to some poker. I love how they build this up. Londo waits for the waitress to come with the water, unbutton his shirt a little bit. Then we start to see the alien-like thing in his stomach. And there's the tentacle. This goes back to what Garibaldi said back in The Gathering. And when the Centauri first met the humans, they said that the humans were a long lost colony. But then when we looked at the DNA, we found out the Centauri and the humans were nothing alike. Well, this kind of proves it. And again, my life is not complete. I'm talking about alien tentacle appendages. And yes, JMS does go into detail on the appendages. But we'll talk about that in a minute. First, we have to wipe out Mr. Mueller's memory. Lou Welch, the hero we need, the hero we deserve. Lou Welch. So back to the tentacle appendages. My goodness. So JMS went into very much a lot of detail back in '94 when he was on the Usenets talking about the Centauri reproductive system. So males have 6 of these guys, much like Lee's statue does, 3 on each side. And yes, if you're wondering, the female Centauri have 6 apparati on their backs. And JMS joked that the costume design ladies had a real lot of fun showing the tentacles to him as they were getting ready for this shoot and asking how many veins it should have, what color it should be, and all that good stuff. Everyone had fun with the tentacles. We also got to see Lanier do a roundhouse kick, which is kind of foreshadowing that we know that Lanier is not just a holy guy, not just an ambassador's attache. He can hold his own. And one day we'll be holding his own as a ranger. This is one of the few times we actually so far have heard about how a PPG works. Of course, you're on a station. You don't want a projectile weapon popping a hole in the hull. So the PPG is plasma based. It hits and cauterizes the wound. Dun, dun, dun. Not not it's not very often that the A and B plot, or in this case the A and C plot question mark, interact, but they definitely come together here. We've got Mueller blasted with a PPG that definitely has caused some damage, and Rosen is healing him. Good doctor, stay. And here we go again. A doctor having to make a decision they don't want to do and deciding that it's time to turn the machine on the patient and end him. It's interesting. They don't go into detail on this, but I wonder how much he actually took from the doctor here. She's giving him arthritis. A great deal of pain from Lake syndrome. So I wonder how many extra years Rosen gets out of this. And he gone. No death of personality for him, just death. Self-defense, ombudsman. Foreshadowing. The alien device must be turned over to station personnel. And unlike Star Trek, and again, I'll tell you, I love Star Trek. I'm a Star Trek guy. I've got several enterprises above my head up here. But unlike Star Trek, it comes back. Even the bottle episodes like this, it comes back. We will see that machine again. It's also interesting too. We know Rosen lost her license, but even without her license, she still feels she's a doctor. And she's got a lease on life, even though she had to give somebody else's life up to do it. She may never be all right. Every time I watch this, it makes me want to go back and watch Lost in Space. As much as Lost in Space is definitely doesn't hold up nearly 50 years later, but or actually nearly 60 years later. But June Lockhart's she does well here, and I know she does well in there too. Londo and Linnea. The smile on Ivanova's face. I love it. They both got shiners. That's a line I want to use again. I'm prepared to give you an answer as soon as the room stops spinning. Lanier falls on his sword for his new friend Londo. It's interesting how many times this happens. Londo's a real son of a bitch, but people go out of their way to help him. And that's the tragedy of Londo. Well, there's several tragedies of Londo, but Londo could be a good person. And many times he is a good person. He just makes poor decisions. And those decisions will come back to haunt him and haunt the galaxy. I want Londo's coat, by the way. I want that entire outfit. I'm a purple fan. I think in purple I would be stunning. In all his 11 years of research, he hasn't figured out Centauri reproductive systems. Lee, the goddess of passion. Did you think these are just decorations? Ah, Lanier, if I found out about Londo's private parts, I think I would take a vow of silence as well, too. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the newbies talking about tentacle porn. Not gonna lie, it's gonna be an interesting conversation. Emily on our team has already watched the episode and she texted me last night and said, "Did I just see what I thought I saw?" I'm like, "Yep, you sure did." It's true. Franklin is a dreamer. Much like Icarus, he may dream a little too much and get too close to the sun, but that's for seasons to come. Spoilers, we'll never see her daughter again. Sorry, Franklin. Aw, Franklin got a date. Yay, ethics. Got a little lens flare going here, some JBJ Abrams action. And so ends The Quality of Mercy. So, another bottle episode that's not a bottle episode. And again, it just kind of goes to show, even early on in its run, how Babylon 5 is different. This is a show that makes you pay attention. This is a show that makes you realize that what you're watching now may pay off later. We see that a couple different ways here. We saw Lee, the goddess of passion, back all the way in episode 3. Born of the Purple was episode 3. It'd be, well, whatever. We saw it several episodes ago. And now it pays off. We see the wiping of memory, and we see the omnibudsman and the judicial system, which we will see again in just a few episodes in Grail. Or again, if you're watching this in a different order, you saw it in Grail and now you see it in Quality of Mercy. And of course, the big one is that machine, that infernal machine that is going to take away from us one of our main characters down the road. And so again, it's great to see a show that is mapped out enough to reward the audience. And yeah, there's a lot of serialized TV out there, but not all serialized TV rewards its audience. And a lot of times serialized TV falls into the trap of the mystery box, as J.J. Abrams would say, and making people wonder what is the mystery. Whereas what JMS does is he gives us a little mystery, or he gives us a little taste of something, and it pays off. For example, the hole in Sinclair's mind. By episode 1 of season 2, we get all the answers we need for the most part on what the hole in Sinclair's mind is. So, and then more stories and more mysteries are given, and we get answers to those, and so forth and so on. So it's one of the reasons why I love this show so much, is it rewards you watching it, and it holds up. So that'll be the end of this conversation. Thanks for joining me in this commentary. We're going to continue to do these as we record these episodes. So next week, let me see what we got. We will be looking at, and again, I'm out of order, so bear with me as I click through this. Oh man, I honestly have no idea now because I shut down my HBO Max. We are having internal conversations for those wondering about how we're going to handle continuing watching this show when the order is a little wonky. But right now, we're going to stick with HBO Max because, again, we think that that's the easiest way for people to watch the show now, and we're just going to make it easy for people. So it looks like Grail is next week, which is going to be fun because we actually got to interview the actor who played Jinxo, Tom Booker. So we will release the interview when we talk about Grail. But of course, we do record several weeks in advance. So I'm recording this Tuesday night, September 27th. So in a few hours, we're going to drop our discussion of Survivors, episode 12, Uncle Mike Garibaldi. So go ahead and make sure you subscribe to us. The information's down below. We have our audio version of the podcast, as well as we will put the podcast up here in video form at the same time. So we'll be releasing on YouTube Survivors as well here at midnight tonight, which would be 9/28. And then also we did start something brand new, which is our Patreon. We had a lot of folks on our communities, both in Twitter and Facebook, said that they wanted to help us out more, and we would love to grow this more and more. So we have started a Patreon. So you can find the link to the Patreon down below as well too. And anywhere between $3 a month to $20 a month, you can help us kind of just work to improve and expand this podcast as we move forward. At $3 a month, you do get access to our Discord, and we're going to be doing behind the scenes stuff on the Patreon page. And then we also have at the $6 level, which is the Team Ivanova level, we will have monthly Q&As with the hosts. And then at the $12 level, you can actually record audio questions and we will play them on the podcast as we record it, and you'll be a part of the podcast. And then finally, for those who can, we have the Gray Council at $20 a month, which makes you a producer of the podcast. So you'll get producer credit, and you'll actually see Joseph's name down in the info below, because Joseph is a Patreon producer now. So if you want to join Joseph as a producer, you can do that at the $20 level. But you know what? Even if you can't donate via Patreon, we really do appreciate you watching our shows, giving us likes, giving us reviews, making sure you subscribe, and then also giving comments, both comments down here below or also comments at our Facebook, our Twitter, or our Instagram, all of which are listed down below too. We are loving this building community that we have. We have over 600 people now a part of our community, and it's continuing to grow day in, day out. So I actually got burned by JMS last night on Twitter, and you can find all the information about that on our Twitter account. It was fun. I got to tell you, if 11-year-old me, when I was watching this show for the first time, was told that nearly 30 years later, the creator of the show would make fun of me on Twitter, I think I would have had a big smile on my face. And you know what? I still got a big smile on my face. So I'm loving this. I'm loving this journey with all of you, and we'll continue to have it keep going. So until next time, make sure again you like and subscribe. And then if you want to be a part of these live conversations, make sure you hit that bell icon, because then you'll be notified just as soon as I or anyone else in the team goes live on YouTube. So until next time, I am Scott, and I will see you on Gray 17. Thanks, everybody.